Work's over. And now it's time to go off the clock. Your favorite destination for the hottest sports topics, fantasy insight, betting lines, and game predictions. Sit back, kick off your shoes. You can even crack a cold one. And enjoy the show. Now, here are your hosts, Tyler, Jake, and Rob.
What's going on, Off the Clock family? This is your boy Jake. I'm here with my boys Tyler and Rob.
What's up?
This is the first official show of week one, I guess you could say. I would definitely say our first live show was a success on Sunday. What do you think, boys?
Yeah, I had a great time chatting it up with you guys, cutting it up. I think we covered quite a bit too in an hour, so I'm excited for today.
Yeah, we did.
Episode one of the recorded show.
Yeah. On these weekly shows, community, essentially we'll be talking a little bit college football, MLB now that we're getting into October. Obviously, You'll get your NFL dosage, your fantasy dosage, your betting dosage. But these weekly episodes are going to be more than just fantasy football and NFL. So, Tyler, how about you kind of tell everyone what we're going to get into? And, yeah, we can go from there, man.
Yeah, I think I want to start off at least just because it's fresh on my mind. It's Wednesday. Week 2 officially starts tomorrow in the NFL. That was the big buzz. That's what we covered mostly in our first live show. So I want to talk about some of my biggest surprises of week 1, maybe some of my biggest winners and losers. I'll just go ahead and start with some losers, man. I mean, I think you guys already kind of know where I'm going at, but I mean, the Cowboys, man, they're a huge loser this week, unfortunately. For those listeners who are just tuning in, I'm a huge Cowboys fan, have been since birth. I mean, not only did you lose the game in an ugly fashion, you lost your quarterback late in the fourth quarter for, the foreseeable future. I think they said, 6 to 8 weeks, Rob? Is that correct what they're saying?
I think it was about 6 weeks. I think they're trying to push him back in a month, but I think I always look at the high side of those injuries, especially with surgery.
Yeah, he's not playing for at least 6 weeks.
I mean,
that whole
once your guys
back. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, it's like once your guys is bye. That's my key thing.
It's beginning of November, right before we come and play your favorite team in Lambeau.
Okay. By the way, I might be going to that game. Just segue off that. I would say he would probably be out long, like probably up to that bye week, because it just doesn't make sense depending on what y'all's record is.
I think you're right. I know they're not putting him on IR, I believe, from what I've been told or from what I've read. So he can get those practice reps in a few weeks, but not be getting ready for 6 to 8. So
I'd look at it like this. I know T. Gray, you said that Sunday night game was like embarrassing for you, but here's the thing for me. Like, it honestly was a defensive game all the way up until the third quarter. It was, if you look at the box score, it was 6 to 3 in the first, then it became 12 to 3. And then the first touchdown was actually scored from, what I think was actually one of the best catches so far from the season. Mike Evans one-handed in the end zone. But I mean, honestly, it was a pretty close game, like up until the third quarter. Guys couldn't move the ball anymore because when Dak was out, that was it.
I mean, yeah, offensively embarrassing. I don't know.
Defensively, I think it's a win.
I'm going to be, your number one source for Cowboys information here on Off the Clock. The defense played well, like you mentioned. Offense, you saw the issues with the offensive line injuries already playing a part.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why Dak did get hurt. You see the lack of weapons on the outside, letting Amari Cooper go and having Michael Gallup injured currently. So, I mean, yeah.
You really need Michael Gallup to come back.
It was a recipe for disaster from the start. I think I might have been a little too naive going into that game offensively, but I can't be upset about the defense holding Tom Brady to 19 points, forcing a turnover and getting him sacked a couple times. But
yeah, not only holding Tom Brady to 19 points, but holding him under 250 yards and only one touchdown.
Yeah, so that is a win for any defense.
That's a win in my book
against Tom Brady. But I mean, that's my biggest loser. If I didn't want to talk about the Cowboys, I think my biggest loser, other than that, might be your Packers, just because I think
Yeah,
you can kind of say some of
yeah.
the same things, at
I'll
least
cover that in a
offensively.
second.
But yeah, Jake, what do you think? What was your biggest loser this week, man? Let's tell our
Player or
listeners.
team?
I'll cover the Packers, so switch it up.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I think biggest loser, probably. I don't know. I got a couple. I even had them jotted down because I wanted to talk about this. I'll give you one at the three major positions: quarterback, running back, and receiver. I'll go player, just to kind of switch it up for our viewers. Obviously, you guys will hint on the biggest losers for teams.
Wait,
I
let me
think
ask
one
you
of my
something real quick. Are
yeah.
you talking in the fantasy sense right now, just for our listeners to know? Or are you talking about like
I think just
in
the
the
biggest bust
NFL?
in general. Because if you bust in
Okay.
the NFL, you're going to bust in fantasy. If you suck it
Mhm.
up in the game, you're going to suck it up in fantasy. So I think this can kind of go for both.
Okay.
I want to start it out with the Thursday night game last week. I think one of the biggest busts, not just obviously fantasy, but also with expectations. I got to start it off with Cam Akers. I mean, there's no way around it. The dude had literally no yards. Like I think he had 3 carries or something like that for no yards or something ridiculous like that. Obviously, there was a lot of buzz. He came back in the playoffs and then in the Super Bowl. I thought he kind of robbed Darrell Henderson. I'll be honest. The dude was a beast all last year, and then all of a sudden Cam Akers just comes back and kind of like pushes him out of the way. And obviously, the buzz around the league was that Cam was going to be the RB1. And so I think that was definitely one of my biggest busts. And secondly, um, your rivals, Tigray. How about the Eagles and Devontae Smith? He had 4 targets for no receptions. He didn't even catch a pass. I'm a huge
It's a good
AJ
one.
Brown. Yeah, I'm a huge AJ Brown fan. I love him. I think he's probably one of my favorite players, and obviously he's going to dominate the targets. But just after his Alabama Heisman season, he just hasn't really had it clicked yet. I don't know. I'm not going to call him a bust by any means. I think he still has the talent. He's probably going to be that flyer down the field. But I still need to see something from him. You know what I mean? Year
Man,
one.
Devonta Smith, I think he's a good player. I think he's a pretty
Yeah.
precise route runner. He has good speed. He's not like a complete burner, but he's playing with a guy that's not very accurate at quarterback and hasn't been
Yeah.
even dating back to
Well,
his days at Alabama and then OU. Um,
I guess my only takeaway would be then
he's
how do you let AJ Brown get all the targets and get all the receptions?
you also have to put the perspective too. That offense is heavily run, like it's a running offense. That's what it is. Jalen Hurts with 3 different running backs, and when Trace Simeon comes in too, like it's 4 running back committee with Jalen Hurts. I mean, all wide receivers outside of the name AJ Brown is going to be handcuffed automatically. Dallas Goddard is automatically handcuffed from it too. So
I
I
guess
mean,
my perspective is AJ Brown comes in and gets 155 yards for his first game. There's obviously receiving yards to be had. Jalen
yeah,
Hurts is not a bum by any means. I think he's the biggest. I think Jalen Hurts is my biggest question mark this year for any position. What is he going to do? But essentially,
yeah.
yeah. So let me wrap up mine. I think for quarterback, Rob, this will let you transition right into your team. My biggest bust at quarterback would definitely be Aaron Rodgers. I believe in the guy. He's one of the greatest of all time. But I think this is the year. He even said it best. Roger said it best. The other teams in the division are finally kind of licking their chops, saying, "Look, this is our year to win the division." And so, I was disappointed by his performance, very much so, and I think it's very frustrating on his part as well because he's used to having guys that will just go up and get it, and then you just see the blatant drops by all the receivers, the lack to get open. So those are my
Yeah.
3 biggest buzz from week one. Players wise, it was a little bit different perspective from UT Gray, but Rob, I'll let you take it away for
I
for
want
your
to say
So
one more thing though before we segue into Rob. Sorry, man.
that's okay.
Going back to your AJ Brown comment, I do think he's the best receiver on that team. I wouldn't be so down on Devontae Smith just because of the donut he put up. I mean, but like I said, that quarterback, he's not very accurate. AJ Brown, a third or over a third of his yards were after the catch, which I think is probably one of the best parts about his game.
It's a big
Um,
guy.
yeah, hard to tackle, good in open space, and that fits their offense very well because Devonta Smith
Mm.
is the exact opposite of AJ Brown. And I think you're going to start seeing that trend. I don't think Devonta Smith's going to be, you know, he's not going to per se be a bust this season, but I just don't think that he's going to have the year that AJ Brown will. So,
Oh, by no
Mm.
means, by no
Yeah,
means.
no beats. Yeah. So I'll segue on. I'll take what Jake just said for the Packers. I'm not going to discredit Minnesota. Minnesota's a great team. Overall, they have good defense. They have a great offense. Obviously, Dalvin Cook. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. I don't give Kirk Cousin enough credit, but personally, I don't think he deserves it.
Nah, I don't
But
either.
I just think you could surround any quarterback with Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and Dalvin Cook, and they'll be great. I think it's extremely hard to throw him in. If you put him like on a team, like I would say, Jacksonville, he's not great. Like he's not a great quarterback. He's not even a good quarterback at best. But let me segue to the offense. And this is what drives me crazy about preseason is these teams. I get it. You're afraid to worry about your stars getting hurt during preseason games, but last week was the clear example, and it wasn't just from the Green Bay Packers. It was from
the Cowboys in
overall.
there. They had
It
0
was
snaps as a
a
starting
lot of
offense in the preseason. 0.
exactly. So you could put a lot of teams in that category of just like not playing their starters in preseason, and it shows because the first game of the season, the rhythm's not there, the the understanding of what the quarterback is going to do compared to what the receiver is going to do. Like I was watching Romeo Dobbs running like an in route when Nisha went out, and Rodgers just throws it as an out route, and then just incomplete, middle field wide open. Exact same thing with Christian Watson. Usually Rodgers likes throwing that quick pick screen like a flat route.
Didn't get his head
Almost
around.
he didn't get his head around. Almost was picked off. I mean that right there is a communication issue at best. What I'm really disappointed with and about the Packers is actually not the offense. It's actually the defense. The defense really, stunk dumped the place. I don't think. I mean, I understand Justin Jefferson is a top 5 wide receiver, probably even the top 3. I mean, there's an argument between the 3 in the NFL, but I
It's
just
another
don't
good
think you
topic of
allow.
discussion for later, I think.
Yes. I just don't think you allow a guy where you just signed supposedly one of the top corners in the league, in Jameer Alexander, to shadow people like that, dude. And the Packers defense was putting like Preston Smith against Justin Jefferson at times. And he's just like, why is there a linebacker covering one of the best wide receivers in the game? That doesn't make sense. Like you signed literally Jameer Alexander for that reason. Just Jefferson went 9 for 184, 2 touchdowns with 11 targets. That shouldn't happen as a defense. Kirk Cousins shouldn't have a passing ranking of 118.9, where you guys just the whole preseason bragged about how good the defense was. I just don't think that happens. I understand, people could tell me, well, the offense didn't push enough. They couldn't sustain drives and yada yada yada. But at the end of the day, defense has to make stops. The theory is defense wins championships. And right then and there, that defense wasn't good enough to even win a preseason game to me. There was not enough pressure on the quarterback. There was not enough coverage. I mean, I watched one route Justin Jefferson ran. He was wide open in the field. I'm like, how did this even happen? Like, again, one of the best receivers in the game, just wide open. I mean, you might as well just let the dude walk in the end zone.
Rob, I'm gonna chime in right here and kind of give my opinion from a, I guess, unbiased eye of that game because I watched almost the whole majority of it, just kind of hanging out on my couch before the Sunday night game. I would not be too worried about the defense, in my honest opinion. I got to give a lot of credit to the first-year head coach over there in Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell, as the Rams offensive coordinator last year. He motioned Justin Jefferson. I saw some crazy stat, like over 70% of the time he was in motion. So I think they schemed well against the Packers.
I get
defense.
it, but you can motion a guy all you want, but the defense, if your defense is set up to follow a guy, like you're gonna set up that defense. You're gonna put your best player no matter what on that guy. Like
that's the thing.
Minnesota,
Alexander wasn't traveling with them across the floor.
I know, and that was the defense. That was the defensive plan. It was not to have Alexander to travel with them, which was, to my mind, mind blowing to me. I think that if you played Jalen Ramsey against the Vikings, I guarantee you probably 95% of the snaps Jalen Ramsey's following Justin Jefferson. And Jalen Ramsey now in that defense plays more of a roaming corner than anything. But they know to follow him. So that's my biggest takeaway from the Packers. The one thing actually I want to, I want to get to actually another loser per se, and also what was the most shocking thing. I'm going to go one step beyond what Jake was saying. I'm going to actually go to a head coach. Actually, most shocking thing I saw was Monday Night Football, where the head coach of the Broncos decided to take a 64-yard field goal kick where you had Russell Wilson sitting there, just signed a brand new 5-year, over $100 million deal with 4th and 5. How do you not go for that? Like, that is a mental error for a head coach for the Broncos. That was actually the biggest shock to me. Another loser that I would pick as well would actually be the Indianapolis Colts. How do you, no offense, Settler, because I know
Biggest loser or biggest tie?
I don't understand how you dominate the whole game. Like Matt Ryan, 352, Jonathan Taylor, 161, Michael Pittman, 121 yards, and you tie.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I watched that whole game to the T. The Colts didn't dominate. I mean, I don't. This isn't a debate show, Rob, but I'm going to totally disagree with you on this one. The Colts did not dominate that game. In the second half, they dominated.
Well, that's what I mean. That second half, you dominate, and what we're saying about domination is the stats. Like the stats shows that they should have dominated that game.
Yeah, in the first half, the Texans defense played probably like a top 5 defense.
Oh yeah, it was amazing.
One of our newcomers, Jerry Hughes, I think I saw he was like the second highest rated defensive player of this week. So we had our cornerbacks and our safeties. Yeah,
you guys.
We had Petrie out of Baylor. We had Stingley, of course, at LSU flying around the field. So. Yeah, that's definitely Matt Ryan is flustered though. He there was so many times he got snapped the ball and he dropped it.
Yeah, how many times did he drop the snap? Like 3 or 4 times. I think
it was at least 4 times. At least it was so frustrating to watch it.
I think he ate that old Wolverine Redenbacher, old good old buddy game or something.
That's good.
But yeah, enough about losers, guys. I wanted to get y'all's take. How about we do this? How about we each give one player and one team biggest winner from week 1? I know we got a lot of stuff to cover, so let's just keep it rolling. Let's each give one player and one team that, in our eyes, was the biggest winner from week 1. T, how about you tee us off?
You want me to kick us off? All right.
Yeah.
Biggest winner in terms of a team. Man, this is a tough one, but I'm gonna have to say the Kansas City Chiefs. Man, the Kansas City Chiefs absolutely dominated that game from start to finish. They lost Tyreek Hill. There's buzz about, Patrick Mahomes isn't going to be the same. How many did he put up? 4 touchdowns in the first half? 5 total.
Yeah. He was not even a game by the second half.
He's talking smack the whole time, too. That guy's just, he's a maestro out there under center. That guy can make any type of throw, off balance, in the pocket, you name it. And he spread the ball around. I remember at one point during the game, because I was flipping kind of back and forth between that one and the Packers. But I tend to watch the Packers more just because it's 2 NFC teams. It matters more to the Cowboys, and the Chiefs game was a little out of hand early. But I think he completed the ball to like 9 different receivers or players.
It's insane, man.
So when you're doing stuff like that in week 1 after losing arguably your top weapon on offense, I'm not surprised, but you got to say that's one of your biggest winners. So
what about your biggest player, Tyler? Your biggest player in terms of winning?
I just made a great case for Patrick Mahomes being the biggest winner, but I'll kind of stick with that, but I'll throw in this same game, an ex-Houston Texans player, Justin Reed. I don't know if you guys saw what he did, but he had a run in there after Harrison Butker, who I just saw was ruled out for this following week. He really fucked up his ankle. I don't know if you guys saw the replay of that, but that looked ugly. I'm surprised he came out and made another field goal after that. But Justin Reed walks out there, he nails the extra point, and then he comes back out onto the field to do the kickoff, and he kicks the ball through the uprights.
And he cleared it too.
Yeah, he cleared the uprights. So, that's just something you don't get to see every day, let alone from a defensive back, and arguably a pretty solid defensive back.
Yeah,
And
That's
Justin Reed.
a pretty hot. That's a pretty hot take for you. Say your biggest winner is a defensive
that's a
guy that kicked a
kicker.
field goal.
Well,
Is
here.
that your biggest winner?
No, I mean, Patrick Mahomes was my biggest winner of the
Oh,
week, as
okay.
well as the Kansas City Chiefs. I kind of tied those, but I just threw in Justin Reed because I think he should be talked about. I think people that are big football fans should give him credit where it's due, because being an NFL kicker, they get scrutinized all the time. It's not an easy thing to do, and he went out there and got the job done. And I bet you he gets maybe one rep a week kicking the ball, and it's probably after practice just for shits and giggles. I mean,
honestly, I remember watching some actually training camp tape of him actually doing practice reps just in
he's
case.
Cold.
Mm-hmm.
He's
cold.
Cold.
He was just like, they were just like, just in case, let's get you out there. And then look what happened. Harrison Buckner went hurt, and then Justin was ready.
What about you, Rob? What's your biggest winner and your biggest player and team?
I'm gonna go two different things. All right, I'm gonna go with the New York Football Giants as the biggest winner, and I'm gonna say something, and I know Jake is gonna start smiling because he was right last during the Sunday show. Saquon Barkley, 161 yards.
I got
that
offense. Hey, community, I got laughed at for that take as well. So just for the record.
Well, I mean, given so, I mean, come on. I don't believe in any New York team without actually seeing the tape. But I mean,
let's see it for a full season. Let's see it for a full season.
But hey, you go into Tennessee, you're facing Derrick Henry, King Henry is best, and you don't allow him to get over 100 yards. You don't allow him to get a touchdown. You don't even allow him to even get 4 yards average as a carry. Like you put it to him. Saquon had 18 carries, 164 yards, had a 9.1 average per run. Danny Dimes, I don't believe Danny Dimes is a legitimate starting quarterback. More like, still went 17 for 21, 188, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 5 sacks. I just, and that defense played too, holding the Tennessee Titans to 20 points while at home, dealing with one of the best running backs in the league. And their receiving core is still legitimate too. It's not like they're playing with a bunch of nobodies out there, receivers. So New York might have something in the works, but I need to see like 6 or 7 games before I'm like 100% onto the Giants.
I mean, I think your take of them being a big winner this week is totally valid, because they did go in there, new coaching staff. They beat Tennessee in Tennessee. Like you said, held Derrick Henry under 100 yards. No, I personally just don't think Tennessee's that great of a team. They're in a rebuild phase. Derrick Henry is, besides Derrick Henry, I mean, they got a couple promising young players, but their defense, I think it's just how great.
I just think it's how the offense was operated throughout the whole game. Like, usually you would watch Giants games and you just like, they go down and they just kind of give up at that point. There's like, all right, we're on to next week. But this team fought. Like, they were down always up to, I think, to the 4th quarter, and then really rallied. And then after a missed field goal kick just to win the game, it's just like, it's such a relief for them.
Brian Dable let his balls hang that 2-point conversion attempt. He's got nothing to lose, and he made the right call. I always like going for
Smith. 2. Lovey Smith, I hope you're listening to this damn podcast out there, you mother.
He needs to let his balls hang just about as far as his beard, huh?
I'm gonna go with a kind of like a moral victory after a really bad game. And he had a really terrible game. And it was just not his fault. He was just constantly hit, pressured, all the above. I'm going to go Joe Burrow. Even though you lost the game, you still took Pittsburgh to OT. You had 4 picks on the game. 2 of them was from like freaking Watt, TJ Watt. But you also had 4 picks. You had 7 sacks, but you also threw 338 yards, 2 touchdowns, and threw about 53 passes. And you still almost won the game. If you have 4 interceptions and 7 sacks, that game's a blowout. Okay.
I think arguably, Rob, he would be one of my biggest losers of the week. I think it's embarrassing what he did.
I think it's more of a moral victory because, when you're sacked 7 times, but when you're sacked 7 times, that game's over. Like, you're not winning that game. Like, there's no
Yeah.
way
I
you're
mean,
going to
how
get
how many
even
of those
close to winning.
sacks were him holding onto the ball for a long time, like he likes to do?
Honestly, I watched the game. It wasn't like him holding onto the ball. He was pressured nonstop. Like, his offensive line was absolutely trash.
And I feel
Like,
like that was their number one thing that they wanted to address this offseason.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I
really,
just didn't seem like they did that. Like, it just
Oh,
he was.
they
It felt
addressed
like
it.
I
I
was
just don't
watching.
think it was addressed to the right fucking
No,
address. If that
it
makes any
wasn't,
sense,
because it was he. It felt like I was watching the Super Bowl all over again. You know how many times he was hit in the Super Bowl? It was just the exact same thing all over again with him. And
well, we
he
could, yeah.
came, he stepped up, and he kind of, field goal away.
Hey,
If his kicker made a field goal, they would have won that game.
yeah, I mean that is true. I wouldn't say he's a winner this week just because of that stat line. You know, you threw 4 picks, but I'm not worried about Joey Burrow. I'm
No,
really
I'm not
not.
worried about him
Well,
either. It's more of
I
like,
am worried about him this week because he comes into town to play the Cowboys. But yeah. Anyways, all right, Jake, let's hear yours real quick.
Yeah,
No, we got
let
to
me
move
wrap this.
along.
Yeah, let's wrap this up. Rob touched on my biggest guy, and then my team is a no doubter or a no surprise there. Saquon Barkley, obviously, I did say he's a top 10 running back when healthy. I'm definitely doubling down on that now. If the blackjack dealer would let me double my bet, I would be all in. So, Saquon Barkley, biggest winner. I just think, kind of like what I said last week, community in the show, they have no body. I mean, if you want to count Sterling Shepard as somebody, most certainly he's no scrub. But I mean, Kenny Galladay got the big contract a few years ago, couple catches, if that. I don't know. I'm just that offense scares me. I think it did a lot for their morale. Obviously, Brian Dable coming into town definitely hyped him up by going for 2, stuff like that. So definitely biggest winner would be Saquon Barkley. The offense is going to definitely go through him. They're going to live or die by Barkley. Biggest winner for team. It's the kind of the no-brainer. It could be the Chiefs, but I'm going to go with the Bills, Tyler. All the expectations that they have faced going into this year, it's kind of like Super Bowl or bust for them. They came in and they held their own on Thursday Night Football in LA, and they did their thing. I think with all that pressure, it's easy to kind of let people down. And easy, the Rams got their Super Bowl rings. They released the banner, all this stuff. The moment can kind of be too big for some people and kind of just fall back. But they really did hold their own and completely embarrassed Jalen Ramsey in that defense. So biggest winners, Buffalo Bills, Saquon Barkley. That's it for me.
Okay, I respect those. I respect those. I mean, I respect anything you guys say at all times. I think that we're able to come on here each week and you said it's not a debate show. That's not what we're trying to do, but I think it is good to have a little friendly banter, and we don't have to agree on everything. Just like you guys that are listening, you guys don't have to agree with everything that your buddy says or your coworker says at work. Everybody has their opinion here. Now, sometimes if one of you guys throw out something that's just blasphemy to me, then I'm going to call you out, and I think you guys should do the same. But I mean, I think all those were great points. But all right, whenever we move on, I want to get into what you guys think. I mean, I kind of want to just do like a little power rankings real quick. We don't have to go 1 to 32, but let's just do our top 5 NFL teams right now for week 1. I know it's early, but things can change. Jake, you go for it.
I want to start this off because I think y'all might get a little laugh at me. I think my top 3 are probably going to be pretty close to y'all's, but this is something I've been waiting on because I'm a believer in somebody, and they just happen to be in the same division as old Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. So with no further ado, I think the number 1 team in the NFL right now are the Buffalo Bills. I hate to be a kind of a repeat and kind of a bandwagon, but I think it's pretty clear-cut and dry. Them and then the number 2 team, the Chiefs, are right there. So I definitely have the Bills number 1. I have the Kansas City Chiefs number 2. I have good old Tom Brady, the GOAT, at number 3, and him and the Buccaneers. This is where it kind of gets kind of essentially conversational. I'll be very curious to see where you guys are at with the Bills number 1, the Chiefs number 2, the Bucs number 3. I have the Chargers at number 4. I need Keenan Allen to get healthy. I'm not worried about Austin Eckler. Didn't have that good of a performance, but I think the addition of Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, that defense is the real deal as well. So I have the Chargers at number 4. And at number 5, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. I am a believer in Jalen Hurts. I do think Devontae Smith will come around. He won't be obviously A.J. Brown-esque, but I don't expect him to be. He doesn't need to be. Somebody's got to be the little brother in the relationship. So those are my top 5. I think the Eagles are the real deal. Are they Super Bowl contenders? I don't think so yet. I think they need to get that backfield figured out. You can't be running Boston Scott one play, Kenneth Gainwell the next, Miles Sanders the next. That's a mess. But yeah, I got Bills, Chiefs, Bucks, Chargers, Eagles. What about you, Rob?
I'm agreeing with your first two. Bills and Chiefs. I mean, obviously, we're already looking at the AFC Championship game unless something happens, and it just seems right. I'm actually going to go Chargers 3. I just do think that offense and defense is going to click. You got Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa still in that background. Their corners are going to hold up very well, I think, against a high-powered offense. I think we're going to
Allen
see
hurt
that
again, though.
Yeah, I worried about that, but I just think that Justin Herbert is so used to spreading the ball around on offense. He needs Keaton, but you can play a game or two without him. You still have
I really
Austin
like
Eckler.
Gerald Everett as well.
Yeah, he still has weapons. It's not like I'm not like, oh, Keenan's gone. Who can he throw to now? Like I know for a fact that Justin Herbert's gonna be fine. 4 would be Bucks. Tom Brady. I can't go against Tom Brady, even though I'm not a huge fan of Tom, but it is what it is. And number 5, I was thinking about doing the Eagles, like Jake, but I'm actually gonna go Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
I like that one. I like that.
Lamar Jackson just keeps surprising us every single week, every single season, and honestly, yeah, he's won MVPs, but he is probably one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league. Just because he's in the exact same conference as like a Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen. He doesn't get a lot of attention per se, but that man can throw the ball with no receivers. I don't even.
But does his receiving core scare you?
Yeah, it does. That's the problem. The receiving core, he could throw it to anybody, but the problem is there's nobody to throw to. I don't know who Duvernay is. I know he played last year a little bit, but you take Mark Andrews off that defense. I mean, that offense. It's who is he throwing to?
I do like Rashad Bateman. I think he is going to come around. I agree with you. It scares me.
Yeah, it scares me. So like I said, Bills 1, Chiefs 2, Chargers 3, Bucks 4, and Ravens 5. What do you think, D?
Before I give my top 5, I'm going to kind of just touch on a couple things that you guys said, because I disagree very heavily with the Eagles selection, not just because I'm a Cowboys fan, but I mean, you win by 3 points to the Lions. You give up 35 points on defense when you ran the ball for so many yards. I don't know. I'm not sold on them. I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts. I've watched him a ton already, not only from his college days, but also we play him twice a year. I'm just not sold on them yet. Now, do they have a good roster from top to bottom? Oh, yeah. Do they have a great offensive line? Oh, yeah. They have the pieces, but until he proves to me, because it's a quarterback-driven league, fellas. It really is.
Yep.
You can't go out there and win the Super Bowl with some bum, But
well, I kind of want to switch this up really quick, Tyler. I want you to go in reverse order.
Okay.
Because I think the top
5?
1-3. I think the top 1-3 are pretty much the same. I want to hear
make
number 5
argument
from
for.
you. I want you to go in reverse order if that's okay with you.
All right. Now this is going to be controversial. It's going to be an 0-1 team.
In there.
0-1 team starting. No, I'm not throwing the Cowboys in there. Dak Prescott's gone.
Please don't do it.
It's an 0-1 team though, coming in at number 5 for me, just
Okay.
because they've been there, they've done it for the past 3 years with their current head coach, and did it for years prior. It's the Green Bay Packers. It's Rob's, diehard team. It's the Green Bay Packers.
How?
Aaron Rodgers.
I had them in 7.
Aaron Rodgers had a poor week 1 last year to open the year against New Orleans, and what'd they do? Win 13 out of their next 15 games. They're a Super Bowl contender. I'm still very high on their defense. I think one thing that Rob didn't touch on was their pass rush wasn't very existent, and they're built to rush the passer with 4 players. And I think they're having to send an extra guy here and there, and it really screwed up the way that they wanted to play in the back end. They lost a divisional game away. They're number 5 still. They're a Super Bowl contender. They have Aaron Rodgers. Number 4, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Now, does their receiver core scare me like it might scare y'all? Not really, but what scares me is their balance. Lamar Jackson's legs, his ability to escape, his ability to make plays on his own is the reason why he's such a great player. He's dynamic. He doesn't have to go out there and throw the ball for 300 yards like some of these other folks. He can be efficient on offense without doing that. Number 3, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, they only scored 19 points against the Cowboys, but kind of the same logic as my number 5 spot, Packers. They have the GOAT and Tom Brady, or at least in my opinion, the GOAT. They're relatively healthy other than Chris Godwin and an offensive line spots, but their defense, they're still, an amazing unit. They have Todd Bowles now as head coach, and I think that's going to really help them in the long run because Bruce Arians, even though he's a very, funny personality and things like that, I think Todd Bowles brings a lot more discipline to that team. He's a defensive-minded head coach with Tom Brady at the helm of the offense and Byron Leftwich, a very serviceable quarterback in the NFL for many years. I think they got to be in the top 5, but they're number 3 for me. Number 2, Josh Allen and the Bills. They looked great Thursday night. The Rams looked horrible, and I'm still high on the Rams. They'd be number 6 for me, but just because they looked that horrible, I would switch them with the Packers. The Packers didn't necessarily get blown out, but the Rams did at home too against a non-divisional opponent. So that's why I have those 2 teams, or the Rams, right outside my top 5. Throw a little extra in there for you guys listening. But the number 1, kind of going back to my biggest winner of the week, is the Kansas City Chiefs. I think Patrick Mahomes is still the best quarterback in the league. Josh Allen it's 1A and 1B. And then Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are probably 2A, 2B. They're just, got a little gray in their hair. The young guns, they're able to move around. Josh Allen's ability to run the football, he took some shots and he delivered some shots too. I would be, in the film room if I'm his offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. I'm telling him, hey, let's ease up on that a little bit. It's week 1. When we get into the playoffs, yeah, go for it. Let them hang, but
you shouldn't be stiff-arming people. You shouldn't be stiff-arming
with your throwing arm.
With your throwing arm.
But, the Kansas City Chiefs are rounding out my top 5 at the number 1 spot.
Yeah, what worries me about the Chiefs is that, Patrick Mahomes has a wrist injury, and if it gets worse or if it hits the wrong way, then the Chiefs without Patrick Mahomes are more at the bottom of the list than the top.
If any team loses their top quarterback and their top quarterback is a Patrick Mahomes, they're not going to be a very good football team on offense any longer.
I'm not going to give it away to all of our streamers out there. We do have a few more things that we do want to touch on. Obviously, we are big on fantasy football and football right now because who's not? It's one of the best times of the year. Fellas, I want us to touch on one more thing before we transition kind of into a different way. I want us really quickly to each give one player that we're buying and one player that we want nothing to do with. We're talking solely fantasy. I don't think this person's done anything to in real life, so not necessarily towards the NFL. So strictly fantasy. So Tyler, how about you start us off? You can give a quick description. I want to know it. Kind of take me into your mindset on who do you love, who do you hate.
Yeah, let me, set it straight for our listeners too. When we say buy or sell, we're not necessarily saying we want to trade for these people or get rid of them. That definitely can be an option, but just like Jacob said, someone that we're really high on and someone that we're really low on comparatively to where they were a week ago. So
yeah, I agree. I love what you just said. Compared to where we were a week ago, it's only been 1 week. We're not trying to jump the gun, but obviously we want to break these things down. So enough about that. What do you think, T?
Yeah, I think, so the one guy that I'm really low on right now, and I wasn't very high on him to begin with, but it's Breece Hall. Breece Hall, the New York Football Jets, they're not going to be a very high-powered offense until maybe Zach Wilson comes back and gives them a spark. But not only is he sharing touches with Michael Carter, he wasn't very efficient this past week. The one promising thing I'll say about him is I believe he was targeted the most out of the backfield in week 1. But he didn't capitalize on that. That's somebody that I wasn't too, high on originally compared to his ADP. But Breece Hall is going to be my sell player. I think that you could still probably get a little value if you did have him on your roster and wanted to get rid of him. But the next person that I'm wanting to buy, we can say, Saquon Barkley, we can say Devontae Adams, we can say these guys that had big games, but I'm going to go a different direction and tell you a guy that I want to buy right now because I think his price point could be a little low on people's list, and it's CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb had 11 targets this past week, 2 catches. Yes, you lost Dak Prescott, but listen, the volume is going to be there for CeeDee Lamb no matter if Prescott is there or not. They're going to be in a lot more. I'm just going to predict this. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. But they're going to be in a lot of games where they're going to be playing from behind and having to throw the ball. And teams are going to be playing shell coverage, and he's going to get little 5-yard curls and be able to run after the catch. And in fantasy football, garbage time points wins you games. And I think he's going to score a lot of garbage time points. And for where he's at right now, I think, his ADP was what, round 2, round 3?
Yeah.
Round
2, definitely not round 3.
I think that you could probably get CeeDee Lamb at a price that a lot of these other players that went in round 2 wouldn't you wouldn't be able to get them for, I guess is what I'm saying. And that's the main reason why I'm saying that you should buy. If you have them on your team, stick that out right now. Don't sell CeeDee Lamb. I think that you should be all in on him until you're proven wrong, and it's only been 1 week and he had 11 targets.
All right. Yeah, that's a really good, 2 choices there. CD, is the number 1 wide receiver in Dallas. So my sell point, I'm going to take from the Thursday night game, Cam Akers. Honestly, Darrell Anderson is going to be the number 1 running back. If it's not going to be this game coming up, it's going to be within the next month. It just, the snap ratio is just off between the two. If there was some sort of competition going, it would be a little bit more 50-50, but I think the snap count was 52-12 compared to what normal running backs do. I have more confidence in Miles Sanders getting his touches than I do Cam Akers getting his touches at this point. So if you could sell him. What I think.
Hey, can I chime in real quick, Rob, before you tell us who you want to buy? For those people that have Cam Akers out there, they probably took him in what, the 4th, 5th round?
Well, yeah.
Somebody that you take that high with, I agree with you. His value is not very high right now, but are you willing to part with your 4th or 5th round pick this early on for some, other bench player? You really think it's that? You think it's that bad of a situation?
I just think that the snap count shows it best. If Cam Akers was going to get any sort of competition, he would.
He's hurt. Been more. I just think he's hurt. I think Akers is hurt right now. I really do.
They're not reporting a hurt though. He's not hurt. They're not reporting any injury destination for him. So it's either they don't have confidence in him to be the back, and they have more confidence in Henderson, which they should because he led that team all the way to the Super Bowl. Obviously, there's other cases, not just Henderson, but I just don't think Akers is there. If you have somebody that wants to get Cam Akers for a player, I would do that trade if I was there, because I guarantee you're going to see this game 2, week 2. You're not going to see Cam Akers that much. You're going to see mostly Henderson unless something happens to him. My buy is going to be actually, I'm going to go with the Packers. Romeo Doubs. If he is super low, but here's the thing.
I don't even think you have to buy him. You can pick him up in most leagues.
That's what. But if you could pick him up, pick him up. If you could,
it's free.
It's free. You could buy him for free. You just saw there's going to be one person on that team that's going to step up his game. And there was a little hints in that Packers-Vikings game where Romeo Doubs was stepping up his game a little bit, and all through preseason as well. And he had Jordan Love throwing to him. So if he gets a little bit more chemistry with Aaron Rodgers, he's a big wide receiver. He could stretch the field, go vertical. He could be that red zone threat where he could go leap for a catch, which, the Packers haven't had. Devontae was the guy, but Packers haven't really had a really dude to go up for a catch in a very long time. He's the guy. I really do think that he's a 4th round pick from Utah. A lot of people don't know about him. He's not owned in a lot of fantasy leagues. I drafted him in the late rounds in most of my leagues because I felt it. And, I think he's going to be the dude.
Yeah. That's definitely a great point. I'll get these out quick. Essentially, y'all, I feel like my biggest buy is Michael Thomas. I'm not
I like
getting.
it.
Yeah,
I
I
like
mean,
it.
we all know what he did a couple years ago. The dude is made of glass. I say that with lightly because
Knock on wood.
knock on wood, essentially. But not just as for a fantasy perspective. I think he is a good guy, and ultimately, he is the dude in New Orleans besides Alvin Kamara. And it was only a matter of time that this dude finally got it going. Granted, he had to get healthy, regardless of how many injuries he had. But I think it did kind of concern me a little bit. He didn't have really. I think he had 3 or 4 fantasy points in the first half. I remember I was sitting on the couch watching Red Zone, and I saw my phone light up that he had scored, and I was like, "Oh shit! Finally, he's doing something." And then he got a couple more catches. I definitely think he's their go-to guy in the red zone, and we also know that he is slant boy, so he can pick up the yards. So definitely biggest buy right now is Michael Thomas. I don't know where you can get him. Um, biggest loser or biggest sell, I guess you could say for me, your boy Rob, Aaron Jones. I don't want anything to do with him. I'm a big Aaron Jones fan. I think he has that kind of swagger to him. He has that look, that look I liked last year. I think RIP to his father. I think he lost his father last year, and he had a
He did.
chain that had his ashes in it. I thought that was super cool, man. Like, just seems like a really good guy. But I think it really is starting to become the AJ Dillon show. They
It
each
is the
had
agent, so
they
it
each
was.
had they each had 5 targets. AJ Dillon outcarried him by I think by 5 to 10 or 10 to 5, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
I hate vultures in the NFL. I hate people that are RB2s and come in and steal the reps of RB1s. But I mean, whatever works for a team, obviously you're going to go with the committee if you think that's best. So, biggest buy for me, Michael Thomas. I think he's back. Biggest sell, Aaron Jones. I'm sorry, my man.
Yeah.
I don't want
I
any
mean,
part of you. So.
and you know what? You could probably get at least a really good talent for AJ Jones. I mean, not AJ Jones, sorry. Aaron Jones.
If only
You
they
could at
could
least
combine, huh? Put those thighs on Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
only
So
problem is just real fast. The only thing problem I have with AJ Dillon is that his catching ability. And, sometimes he has the tendency to drop a pass, and when he drops a pass, he keeps dropping another one and another one and another one. He did it all last year, and that's why you saw a lot of Aaron Jones last year catching the ball. So as long as as long as Dillon could actually catch the ball consistently, he would be probably the number one guy at Green Bay compared
Man,
to
you
Aaron
mentioned that.
Jones.
I just want to say something. During that game, you probably saw it, Rob, but AJ Dillon made one of the, you know, for the common fan, it didn't seem like a great catch, but he made an amazing catch in the flats. I think it was like late in the second quarter when they
Yeah,
were driving down, full extension, caught the ball,
he's a
both
big
arms
confidence
out,
guy.
and then got the corner too and picked up probably 15 yards on like a third down. It wasn't in the same, stratosphere as the Mike Evans catch, but I think it's a tough catch that a lot of running backs might not be able to make. And even if they do make it, they're not able to, stay balanced and keep their feet. But
Yeah.
yeah, I like
Again,
your guys' list.
yeah. Just Go ahead.
I want to
Sorry.
get no. I want to get one last thing about NFL and fantasy out before we kind of transition into something else for all of our viewers. Obviously, we have a big game tomorrow. It's Chiefs -4. Give me y'all's prediction, guys. Do the Chiefs cover or do the Chargers? And how do y'all see this game going?
I think the Chiefs cover this game. I'm not sold on the LA Chargers. I think they played a Las Vegas team whose quarterback threw 3 balls to them. They just lost Keenan Allen. Austin Eckler didn't look too great. Now, I think Justin Herbert's still going to have a great year. He's going to distribute the ball around. But the Chiefs have done it. They've proven to me that they can do it. And the Chargers haven't yet. Everybody's so high on Justin Herbert. I do think he's a great young talent. But until he starts winning a lot of these big games, then I just want to be proven wrong, before I'm,
So,
on the bandwagon, so to speak.
So I'm actually gonna prove you wrong. I'm actually gonna say Chargers are gonna cover because I do think this is the game that Justin Herbert's gonna show up and prove to everybody that he can compete with the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allens, and the Lamar Jacksons.
I mean, I'm not saying he can't compete with them. He's equally as talented. I just don't think the Chargers are as a team.
I get it that it's scary that Keenan's Allen gone. you just don't know where you're going to throw the ball. You still have Mike Williams, you still have Austin Eckler, you still have a really talented offense. But I really think that defense is going to show up because Arizona's defense is not that great, frankly. Like, it's very overrated to what people think they are. But I think the Chargers' defense is very underrated. And I think that Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa is going to show you on Thursday night while they should be at least a top 5 defense.
I want to throw in one more thing to my prediction before we get your take, Jake. Sorry. Obviously, I picked the Chiefs to cover that. I think what's going to happen is Kansas City is going to run for like 150, 160 yards. That's not going to be just Edwards-Helaire. It's going to be Pacheco. It's going to be McKinnon. They're going to run all over the Chargers on Thursday night.
Would you like to put a wager to that?
I don't, just because, I mean, unless you can find me like a rushing total line where I actually like have something to go off of, but that's just
we could go 150 total rushing yards in the game.
Let me look it up. If on our live show we're talking about our wager, this is what we're talking about.
Okay.
But Jake.
Yeah, I'm with you, Tyler. Chiefs -4 all the way. No Keenan Allen. I'm not Justin Herbert. He's a stub, but he doesn't scare me yet until he, like y'all said, he starts winning those big games. That's where I'm at on that. Also, Tyler, really quick, over under. It's set at 54. What do you think?
Sorry, guys, we got a visitor here. Over under at 54. That's something that I'm personally not going to touch. But if I absolutely had to, don't take my advice because, like I said, I don't want to touch it. I'm going to go over. And the main reason why I think it's going to be, a 15 to 20 point game throughout the third quarter. The Chiefs are going to be winning, and the Chargers, they're going to play a little like prevent, dink and dunk type defense. Chargers are going to come back, maybe score a touchdown and a field goal, and it's going to hit the over in the late fourth quarter. That's my prediction. Yep. But like I said, I don't want to touch any part of that 54.
Well, cool, fellas.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So I believe the Chargers are going to win. Like, I just do believe that. But let's segue to college football. I had the personal chance. I live in New York. If the viewers don't know where I live, but they do this like little cam show. They shoot sometimes on Saturdays, even on Sundays. They do a live shoot of like certain games on a big screen TV up in Hudson Yards in New York. If you don't know where it is, look it up. It's actually a really beautiful area. And they were showing the Texas-Alabama game. And that game came down to the wire. So, Tyler, I really want to get your predictions about who do you think is going to be the top 4, going into the BCS this year, even if
I think my top 4 is going to be very similar to a lot of other people's. Now, I think sorry, guys. Keep down. I think my top 4 is going to be pretty similar to a lot of other people's, but the order it's going to be in may be a little different. I do think Georgia, from what we've seen so far, they're the clear-cut number 1 team in the country. And then next, I'm going to go not Ohio State. I'm going to go with the Clemson Tigers. I think that they've kind of rebuilt since they've lost Trevor Lawrence, their quarterback. I forgot how to pronounce his name, but he's kind of, I guess, I don't know, he's grown up and he's been looking good so far. They have a very solid defense. Yes, they lost their defensive coordinator who's now coaching at OU, but Dabo Swinney, he does a really great job over there. My number 3 team will then be Ohio State. And then rounding out the top 4 is going to be Alabama, which I know they just squeaked one out against Texas. But let me tell you this, someone who actually played a year of college football. And I wasn't at a big-time school like Alabama, but their kickoff was at 11 a.m. in the Texas heat. It's never easy going on the road, let alone even as a home team. Starting a game that early when you're used to practicing typically in the later afternoon, it just feels weird. Your body is not fully engaged yet. And I think you really saw it. They're sloppy. That was the sloppiest game I've seen a Nick Saban coach team in maybe my whole entire life. But I think they still have players. The one thing I would be worried about them is their receivers didn't seem to be – they're just not at the caliber that we've seen the past couple of years. They don't have a Jamison Williams or a Devonta Smith or go way back, a Julio Jones, someone like that seems to really just be able to go out there and dominate anybody. But they're still a great team, and they're going to round out my fourth team.
Yeah. So I would do I would agree
Welcome
with
back,
you.
Jake.
Georgia's number. Hey, well,
Yeah,
Jake.
yeah.
I would
Got
agree.
some
I would
technical
agree.
difficulties. I'm back though.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
I would agree. Georgia's number one. It just seems like they have the talent there. They have everything there regarding what a number one team should show. I mean, they blew out Oregon like 49-3. I mean, that game was over by halftime. That's how bad that game was. And they're probably going to blow out South Carolina this weekend. It's just not even a contest at that point. I'm gonna go Ohio State too. Just because it's Ohio State. I just do believe, the amount of recruiting they've done, in the past few years it's just a consistent with Ohio State, like it is with Georgia and Alabama. Everyone wants to go there. I would like to touch on one thing about Alabama. You're actually seeing more of a transition of a lot of these star athletes are actually not going to Alabama now. They're actually spreading some stuff out due to the new compensation deal that the NCAA is doing. So the big time players that can actually go to different teams and actually succeed there and still, create some sort of revenue going from there. I'm actually going to go 3 Michigan, and I know people out there like, why are you doing 3 Michigan? I just believe in Jim Harbaugh. Like, I believe NFL
like
caliber.
I think this might be the year.
I mean,
NFL
they were in the
caliber
top four
coach.
last season at the end of it.
Yeah,
they did get kind of throttled, but
I mean, NFL caliber coach, taste a little bit of the college playoff last year. I think that they're striving to do more this year.
The gap between them and Ohio State in the Big Ten is very slim.
Yeah, it's shortened throughout the year. Like, it really has. Like, and that's what worries me with Ohio State and Michigan now, is just because the talent on the Michigan roster and the talent on Ohio State is like very similar outside of some sort of position, like some little bit.
Quarterback would be the biggest difference in my opinion.
The quarterback would be. But for Alabama, I mean, of course, Alabama's going to be my top 4. I'm not going to just write them off because they barely scraped by against honestly, in my opinion, really good Texas team. It's a young team, and they're going to be building up. And I think that next year, when the good old boy Archie Manning shows up, he's gonna sling it like his papa. And
he committed to Texas.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I think Texas is going to be in the top 25 next year because I think that they're going to have the quarterback. No, I wasn't meaning Alabama there, and sorry about any confusion there. Honorable mention, I would like to say, is USC. USC has the talent, has the coaching from Oklahoma, has the quarterback from Oklahoma from the transfer. I think that USC will be either in the top 4 or they'll be playing for a playoff spot by the end of the year. I think that they're gonna make the big jump. So
let me tell y'all where I'm at, fellas. I hate that. I feel like it is a kind of a consensus top 4, top 5, kind of all the way across the board. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit though. It's kind of like betting. It's kind of like betting against Belichick in the finals or in the Super Bowl. I can't bet against Saban. I got Alabama number 1. I think when it comes down to it, obviously they didn't do it last year, but nobody's perfect. Belichick ain't perfect. Brady ain't perfect. Nobody is. And so I got Alabama number 1. I do have the reigning champs number 2. It's pretty obvious that they reloaded. I'm not super high on the quarterback. I think he's a game manager. So yeah, not too high on that. But obviously they have reloaded. Like they did pluck some feathers of the Oregon Ducks. That was a dismantling of the Ducks. And so yeah, I got Oregon number 2. Number 3, I'm going to go Ohio State. I'm definitely on y'all with that. I'm a big CJ Stroud guy. I feel like I hope my Texans take him. I'm going to make that. I'm going to put that out there. I hope my Texans just stink it up this year and we go get him. I would prefer him over Bryce Young at the end of the day. And then number 4, fellas, I'm going to kind of go out on a limb. I'm going to say USC. The Trojans out of Southern California. I really like the combination of Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley.
You guys are both high on USC.
Yeah, I just the talent is there. I just think it's going to be the time.
Man of Trojans, huh?
Yeah,
I'm
I've
not,
liked.
so
I think I became a. I think I became a Trojans fan when I was in
I should say
elementary
Jake's
school.
not.
Yeah, no puns intended by any means.
Congratulations again.
Appreciate it,
Those who don't
fellas.
know, Jake and his fiance are expecting a beautiful baby here in the future. So
Yeah, due date is January 22nd, so we're super excited about that.
awesome.
But yeah, just double down really quickly on the Trojans. I kind of like it. I feel like that it's kind of like you and your dad or somebody kind of like moving somewhere new, or maybe you and one of your buddies. Like I just think it's so cool how they both went out there and they're just really tearing it up. Obviously, the season will prove to itself to see if they do finally come around. But I got the Trojans number 4. That's kind of my dark horse. So
Cool.
that's where I'm at on that, fellas.
Yeah.
I wanted to get
Cool,
y'all's take on something else really quick. Something's been on my mind as we kind of wrap this show up, and it's obviously with October approaching. It's baseball. Kind of just wanted to see. I'm okay with you guys hearing your guys' American League and NL League MVP, or if you guys just want to give me just one, whatever y'all want. I'm kind of curious on where y'all are at.
Yeah,
I'll take
So,
I'll
yeah.
take the lead on this first, Tyler. And I think that I'll start with the AL, my AL MVP, because it's very much a controversial topic.
Let me ask
A
you
lot
something
of people.
first, Rob, because I don't know the answer to this. Are you a Yankees fan?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm a Cubs fan,
Cubs
so
fan.
I have no biased opinion in any of this. So a lot of people think Aaron Judge will win the AL MVP, and rightly so. You know, he's about to probably going to win
he's
the
He's
Triple
the
my
Crown.
odds favorite.
he's minus 2,000.
But I wouldn't be shocked that Shohei Ohtani wins the AL MVP.
2 years
He's
in a
the
row.
first 2 years in a row, first guy since Babe Ruth that could both pitch and bat. He has hit, I think, 37 home runs in the year. He has over 100 RBIs. His batting average is really good. His OPS is really good. But he also has a 2.57 ERA. I think that's where it is now on a really crappy Angels team. And you take Shohei off that Angels team, that team is tanking because Mike Trout is always hurt. Honestly, in my opinion, I know he's like on a some sort of tear of, I think he's at
He
like a
hit like 7 or
game.
8 games in a row.
Yeah, I think he hit
Hit
7
a
or,
bomb.
like you said, straight games of like home runs. But I think that Shohei is young. He is the leader. He is the guy on that team that you would, if you were in the playoffs with a team like that, you would want him pitching against any person, like any team, anybody. I think the ERA is there. I think the strikeouts are there. I think the hitter's batting average, I think it's at like a 217 batting average against him when he's pitching. I wouldn't be shocked if he won the AL MVP. I know Aaron Judge is about to hit like, I don't know, 75 home runs. He's on pace to hit 65 at this moment in time. But I just, even if Aaron Judge does win the Triple Crown, I do think Shohei will be there to win the AL MVP just because of what he does.
Yeah.
Now the NL gets a little fishy because there's no clear cut like person, because it's not like you have Aaron Judge in the NL. So
I would debate that, not in home runs, but there is a clear cut favorite, but I think it's rightfully so. But I want to hear your take, Rob.
I mean, ideally is if you're looking at batting average, home runs, OPS, and all that stuff, it should go to Paul Goldschmidt. Like, give it to the guy. The guy's going to finish with a over 300 ERA, with over probably 40 home runs. His OPS is going to probably be over 1. So give it to the guy. He's the clear cut winner in my case. He's not like hitting 60 home runs like Aaron Judge with the
Yeah,
high
that's the
batting average
thing.
and everything, but he's the clear cut. It wouldn't shock
Hold
to
on,
me if they
fellas.
gave it it wouldn't shock to me if they gave it to like Freddie Freeman. In my case, the strikeouts would be less there. He is, I mean, stolen bases don't really matter, but his OPS is a little slightly under Paul Goldschmidt. But he doesn't have the home runs, but his batting average is better, so it wouldn't shock me. But Paul Goldschmidt should be the person right there.
Sorry
Yeah,
about that, fellas.
I got Goldie out of the end. mine's very. I don't even need to detail this too much. Mine's Goldie out of the NL and Judge out of the AL. I hate that it's because I feel like there's some favorites this year, but just top to bottom when you look at it, I think Aaron Judge obviously speaks for himself. He's in a category of his own for home runs this year. He's just knocking the baseball off the cover or knocking the cover off the baseball. I said that backwards. And then the NL, whenever you're talking about top 5 in average, top 5 in home runs, top 5 in RBIs, and top 5 in hits, it's Goldie. And so
it's not a question
so,
in the NL.
Yeah. Rightfully so. I got Goldie and I got Judge on mine.
MLB MVPs are so tricky to me just because when you talk about the NBA and the NFL, MVPs typically come from one of the, if not the best team in the regular season, correct? So
give or take. Yeah.
It's the best player on the team on the best team. And in baseball, that's just not always the case. That's kind of why, Ohtani won it last year. And I mean, he's having a heck of a year too. So I think, making a great argument for Ohtani is very possible and very easy to do. But I think the one thing, not only is Judge putting up historic home run numbers, but the disparity between his home run numbers and the next closest person, I forgot the exact number, but I think it's like 20 home runs difference between him and the second person leading all of baseball in home runs.
You said Judge?
Yeah,
Judge.
So he's
Judge's at
outperforming
57.
He's outperforming his peers at a historic pace.
Yeah.
In, a category that, I mean, everybody loves the long ball, not just women,
of course.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I got to give it to Judge, but I really do think that you can make a pretty good case for what Ohtani's doing both on the mound and at the dish. So
here's like my shocker would be Ohtani winning the AL MVP and also winning the AL Cy Young. Yeah. I think that
Verlander was a shoe-in almost at Cy Young until
he got hurt. But he got hurt. Yeah. I think that you can't argue with the 2.55 ERA, 12 wins. You have 188 strikeouts. Your WHIP is still just around a 1. I mean, it could happen. It wouldn't shock me. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, Aaron Judge should win the AL MVP, Triple Crown winner, everything like that. But I wouldn't be shocked if I saw Shohei winning the AL MVP and winning the Cy Young this next year.
How about we do this, fellas? How about we wrap this show up and we give one last take? I'm really curious on this as well. How about we end the show on our MLB World Series champion prediction? How about
Chicago Cubs?
I'll lead it off. I got the Stros. I think it's here. I think it's time Mattress Mac finally gets all his money back.
He wins either way. That guy wins either way.
Ultimately he's either going to sell furniture or win money from Vegas. But I think it's time.
Who would be your if you took the Stros out? Who would be your second pick?
I mean, he's
like a wild card. Doesn't he be the Yankees?
Let me ask you real quick: is this like you're predicting the Stros to win the whole thing, or are you predicting?
I'm predicting the Astros to win the whole
Series? Thing.
I'm predicting the Astros to win the World Series. My wild card would be probably the New York Mets.
Okay.
And that's a wild card. That's a not easy Yankees or Dodgers or somebody like that. Or I could even go out on a further limb. This is really stretching and say the St. Louis Cardinals.
That would actually be a good pick.
I'm going to go ahead. If I had to pick a team, it'd be the LA Dodgers, even though I'm, not a big fan of that organization. But I think just top to bottom, they got the best lineup, one of the best pitching staffs when everybody's healthy. They're going to be a really hard team to beat in the 7-game series. Now, I think a team that is flying under the radar right now, that they may not even make it into the postseason. But if they do, they have some serious firepower. It's the San Diego Padres.
I knew you were going to say it. I wanted to say it before you did, but I didn't want to steal your shine. God, I agree.
Padres are a really good bet.
If they'll get in, though.
If they get in. I mean, they're in now because they're doing 3 playoffs and wild card spots. So they're in now. But
there's still, 2.5, 3 weeks of the season left. So, I mean, anything can kind of happen. But
so I got Astros. Tyler, you got Dodgers. Rob, round us out.
I mean,
No, you can't say Cubs.
well, I mean, we're still in the wild card hunt. Just like to throw that out there, but I like
Are
your
they
pick,
really?
Astro. Yeah, they're still technically mathematically not eliminated yet, even though we have a 0.1% chance making playoffs. But we just won't go there. I like the Stros. I do believe that they are a good choice. Do I think they're going to win the World Series? No. I actually believe that we're going to see the Atlanta Braves win the
Go
World
back to
Series again.
back.
Go back to
I think
back.
the Braves have
They're
a really good team.
they have a really good team. They're one game out of first place, catching the Mets, who went out and spent all this money on getting pitching, batting, and all these things. They're one game out from winning that division. They're on a hot streak. I think the bats are hitting at the right time. Pitching is clicking, and they have young
Same thing
talent
that
on that
happened last
team.
season. Same
Exact
exact
same
thing.
thing happened. Exact same thing that happened last season. I think you're seeing it again. I mean, they can compete with the top teams, and Ronald Acuna. I mean, you can't go wrong with the dude. Like he's such a massive person. Like on that team, he is a game changer, and it's even more shocking to see it now, where last year he was just completely out, and they still won the World Series, and seeing them doing almost the exact same thing with him is just like, wow, I can't believe that they won the World Series last year without him.
Well, I
My
got a fun
dark,
stat. Go ahead.
my
Your dark
my
horse.
dark horse is actually the Seattle Mariners. Now, people are probably like, what? But you have to realize they had wobbly one of the best second halves of the MLB in like the history of MLB. They went on like this ridiculous like home stretch win where I think it was like they won in the second half they won at least 75-80% of their games compared to what other teams were doing. And if you talk about the Stros, they're only 12 and a half games outside, and anything can happen at this point. I think they have really good pitching, young talent there. If you don't know who Julio Rodriguez is, you better Google him because he is the guy. He's going to win Rookie of the Year this year. Like he is, he has power, he has speed, he can play outfield any position. He has the
He's an
arm.
exciting player to watch, that's for
He
sure.
is a very exciting player to watch. So
Well,
I think
I got a fun stat for our viewers, Rob. The last time a team has gone back to back has not been since 2000, the Yankees. So it's been 21 seasons since the team has gone back to back.
I like
And
how
so,
none of our choices were the Yankees.
yeah, exactly.
No one has faith in the Yankees. Everyone
Um,
thinks the Yankees are going to blow it again. So
yeah. So
Let me say this, fellas. I think the baseball playoffs are such an interesting and exciting time because I keep up with the regular season. I might go to a few ball games here in Houston as well. But
there's nothing like
there's
postseason baseball.
162 games. I don't want to watch every single one.
no
It's
way.
not a week to week
No.
thing, but when the playoffs start, I'm going to watch almost every single game, or
Yep.
at least, chime in for a little while. And baseball is that sport where anything can happen, and anything can happen in any professional sport. But
Yeah.
baseball is one of those things. When you're hot, you're hot. When you're cold, you're cold. Anybody can beat anybody. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, it could be two wild card teams meeting up in the World Series. We just don't know.
Yeah.
And for our viewers out there, I want everyone to know that as obviously October approaches, if you guys want more baseball content, definitely let us know. We can really start honing in on it. Obviously, everyone's hot on football right now. Everyone's been waiting all summer for it, but obviously baseball is just as important. So definitely want to get some feedback from our viewers if they like kind of us talking about baseball and even college football. We definitely want to start touching on the Saturday games. That's starting to ramp up. So I think we all can agree that we have a lot of good content coming for you guys.
Yeah.
And this is essentially week one, and we got a long way to go. So
We do. And also one more thing to on Jake's point. So, we do have a Discord channel for us to have these discussions with you guys. We'll
Yep.
put the link in the bio and literally join, have those discussions. I'm pretty active in the chat, no T's in the active chat, and we're getting Jake on there. So
yeah,
let's join that server. We can start really having some really good conversations, and we'll listen to you guys to bring more content to what you guys want from that channel. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to add to that, to all of our listeners. That's our hope. We don't want to sit here and we're going to talk to one another We're going to plan on bringing on some guests. Who knows? Maybe it could be you. If you want to come in here, join the community, be active in the community, talk it up with us, because we're just everyday people just like you for the most part. We want to hear y'all's opinions. We want to hear what y'all want to hear as well. But yeah, come on.
And this podcast
it's not going to cost anything.
Yeah, this podcast is going to be nothing without our viewers. Ultimately, if we want to be interactive with our community, you can check us out on social media and stuff like that. But yeah, fellas, it's definitely been a pleasure.
Yeah, episode 1 in the books. Everybody who's listening, you can catch episode 2 a week from today. We'll be dropping every Thursday on YouTube, and as well as our live shows on Sunday, at least for the foreseeable future during football season. So, well, fellas, it was real.
All right.
Y'all have a good rest of the night. Yep. See you guys Sunday. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Off the Clock Show. If you enjoyed what you heard, go ahead and hit that like button. If you really want to show your support, please consider subscribing. You can also follow us at our social media sites listed in the description. We will talk to you next time. Off the Clock.